If you're a photographer, you probably know what I'm holding right now. These are SD cards, and for the longest time, this has been the standard for anything related to photography and videography. But I think the standard is going to change, and it's all going to change thanks to this little guy right here. And in today's video, we're going to talk about what this little guy is and why I think this is going to change the standard of the media we use in photography and videography. What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about this little guy right here. This is a Type A card. More specifically, this is XSN's Type A card. This is the 240 gigabyte, 800 read, 700 write speed Type A card. Again, it's from XSN. They sent it over to me and I've had it for a couple months now. So let's go ahead and talk about the benefits of having a Type A card over something like an SD card. If you guys want to skip to a specific part in the video, everything will be linked in the description below. But let's go ahead and start off with the pros of having a Type A card over an SD card. Now, if you guys haven't guessed it, the biggest selling point, the number one thing is its read and write speeds. I don't know if you caught it when I quickly mentioned it earlier, but 700 megabytes of read and write. That's insane. That is crazy fast. My fastest SD card that I have is a V90 card, and that I think maxed out at like 300 megabytes, which is no slouch. Like that's pretty good. I can, it can use the highest codecs on my cameras, but it's less than half of what this card offers. Let that sink in for a second. That's insane. Super fast read and write speeds, which if you can't really put the two and two together, having faster read and write speeds will just greatly increase your entire workflow. It'll make your camera a lot snappier. You'll be able to record in the highest codec that your camera has to offer. You'll be able to transfer files from your camera to your computer in less time. You're going to save yourself time overall. It's a win-win. There's like no reason not to have a faster card if you are able to. Now, along with the fast read and write speeds comes the ability to fully unlock your camera. Like I mentioned earlier, I do have a V90 card, which does allow my camera to record the highest setting possible, but it doesn't allow me to record the highest setting plus proxies because 300 megabytes, although it is fast, isn't fast enough to record at 422 10-bit and record proxies at the same time. But with my Type A card, I can do that. And I have been doing that, and it has saved me so much time in post, and I absolutely love it because I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to worry about, recording in a lower quality because I want those proxies right away. I can just record in the highest quality possible and record on proxy at the same time. If you guys don't know, Sony cameras, they can record proxies simultaneously with your actual footage and just have all that done already. But you do need a really fast card, and some SD cards, the really expensive ones can do that. V90 cards can record the highest setting, but they can't record simultaneously with proxy files. My Type A card has been able to do it buttery smooth, no problems whatsoever, and that's why I've been using it for the last couple months to record. And the last benefit to having a really fast card is you're basically just future-proofing yourself. My SD cards, although they're fast, I've had to upgrade them a few times since I started photography a couple of years ago because with every new camera comes newer specs, and newer specs allow cameras to record in higher settings or to record in higher quality formats, which require higher transfer speeds, which SD cards, they have been upgrading in the last couple of years, but they're just barely keeping up. 300 megabytes a few years ago was super fast. Nowadays, it's like just barely enough. But 700 megabytes, I think, in today's day and age is more than enough, and I think it's going to be more than enough for the next couple of years to come, even with technology advancing as fast as it is. So you are definitely future-proofing yourself. You're not going to have to spend a ton of money replacing your cards every couple of years because you're probably not going to need to upgrade your card anytime soon, since cameras aren't going to be able to produce an image that requires anything faster than 700 megabytes per second anytime soon. Unless you're shooting like 8K, but like, come on. Who's shooting in 8K? But yeah, that about does it for benefits with the card's speed. The only other benefit I can really think of with a Type A card versus an SD card is its size. It's slightly smaller than an SD card, so the footprint's slightly smaller, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal because it honestly really isn't. But if you think about it in the long term, if you have a slightly smaller card, cameras can be ever slightly smaller. Carrying cases for your cards can be slightly smaller, or you can fit more cards in the same amount of space. Not that big of a pro, but big enough of a pro to mention. The Type A card is smaller, which is more compact and easier to carry with you. And in the future can lead to maybe having slightly smaller cameras. But yeah, not a crazy big benefit. But anyways, let's talk about the cons to having a Type A card over an SD card, because there are definitely some cons currently. The number one thing that I can think of when it comes to buying a Type A card over an SD card is cost per gigabyte. It's going to be a lot more. Right now, Type A cards are very, very new. So new that some of my cameras from just a couple of years ago don't even support Type A cards yet, which is super annoying on my end, but just goes to show how new Type A cards are. With any new technology, it tends to be really expensive at first and slowly begins to trickle down in cost as more competition shows up on the market, as more advancements come out. You know, the price per gigabyte we're going to slowly start to see come down in the next couple of years, but as it currently sits, price per gigabyte is still really high. You are going to have to pay a premium if you want to have a Type A card instead of an SD card. I personally think it is well worth it, but if you're not in the financial situation to afford a Type A card, that is definitely something that you really need to consider. Personally, long-term investment, it is worth it, but currently it is a little bit more pricey, and I don't really see the price getting anywhere near standard SD card prices anytime soon. However, brands like XSN are able to create these Type A cards for a lot cheaper than something like Sony. Now, because these cards are new, another downside that comes with it is you are going to have to upgrade your entire workflow. What I mean by this is, if you do have a new enough camera that does support a Type A card and you go out and buy a Type A card, you are now going to also have to buy a Type A card reader, and you're going to need to find something that can, if you're still using SD cards, you're going to need to find a card reader that supports both SD card and Type A, because you're going to be working with different formats. XSN was kind enough to send me over a reader that supports both Type A and SD cards, so I don't have that problem, but that is something that you would have to purchase yourself if you go out and buy a Type A card, because they're not backwards compatible with SD cards, unfortunately, and because they are newer and only newer cameras support them. The other downside to getting a Type A card is you're not going to be able to use it on your older cards. Like I mentioned earlier, I have some older cameras that don't support Type A cards, which is annoying. Those cameras are my Lumix S5 original, my A7S, not A7, my A7 III, and my A6400. None of those cards support Type A cards, so I can't use it on any of those cameras. I can only use it on my A7S III and my FX30. But I mean, I think any camera newer than like 2021 should have the capability of supporting a Type A card. If it is a flagship camera, it most likely does have the Type A protocol. There are some negatives, but those negatives will slowly begin to phase out as the entire industry evolves as a whole. But currently, those are things that you definitely need to keep in mind if you are planning on getting a Type A versus an SD card. But you know, some of my final thoughts on this card. This card in particular, I've been using, like I said, mostly for video, because my main photography camera doesn't really accept it, unfortunately. So I can't really use this on my photography camera, but the benefits of having this card in photography camera would be faster buffer unloads. So if you shoot a lot of like sports photography and stuff, you'd be able to unload those images onto the card a lot quicker if you are shooting like a lot of burst images and stuff like that. But because I've been using this for video, you know, the only benefits I've been able to really accomplish with this is faster downloads from my computer, from my camera to my computer, and being able to record in the highest quality possible on all of my cameras, both of which are just really good benefits to have, and it's just increased my workflow speed so much, and I really like this card. I think if you can afford it, for one, if you can afford it, and you have a camera that can accept it, no brainer, go out, purchase some Type A cards. If you want to save a little bit of money, check out XSN. XSN's a great brand. I've had zero issues with this card whatsoever. Thumbs up, nothing but thumbs up for this Type A card. Link will be in the description if you want to go pick up this card. If you guys have any questions on this card, let me know in the comment section, and make sure to follow me on social media at MoodyDarkRoom. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything else, I'm on there. Go ahead and follow me, and make sure you subscribe and like and do all that fun stuff, because I am back on YouTube. I took a little break just to, you know, relax for a little bit, but I am back. I'm going to be cranking out YouTube videos again, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.